to be social.
It's a
I
switch.
need alcohol
It's a switch,
in my
yeah.
system. Sorry, let's do a real intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Highly Suspicious Podcast with Louie and Preston.
My name's Preston.
We are reporting once again, live from the Trap House.
The Trap House.
We're back. Carl was supposed to be on this episode, but he's a fake friend.
Yeah.
As we've discovered, he didn't listen to the episode.
He didn't listen to the episode.
And we were true to what we said. We didn't hit him up outside of that. He could have been sitting home today with nothing else to do, and he could have been fully available to record. But he did not listen to the episode, which means that he actually hates us.
Oh my god. No. Next episode's
It's-
a guest episode. That's what I'm
it's-
settling on.
It's so interesting to me that no one that I'm like really close to
Yeah.
wants to listen to the podcast, which
Yeah.
means that a lot of the people listening to this are people that I either kind of know
Or don't know.
or don't know at
Yeah.
all. And that's a little scary.
That's a
to
little
me,
weird.
Because if your only impression of me was me on the show, you would think I'm a jackass. A little bit, right?
A little bit. No.
When we're talking about intricate discussions and I make bad jokes and I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
poor
no,
taste."
you're wrong. You're wrong.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that we talk about dreams. I don't know. I had a nightmare last night. Which I don't have dreams, I have nightmares
So
more
you say-
consistently. It was some creepy
do
shit.
you remember it?
All I remember is what woke me up, which was like some fucking horror movie shit. Because it was just like a shadowy figure, size of a child, running up through my house.
That's scary.
Like in the shadows and shit.
Dude,
It made me wake up and be like, damn, is my house haunted?
I had a dream that I have not told you about that happened a couple weeks ago. And let me tell you what, this was the scariest dream I've ever had. I'm on record saying that I enjoy scary dreams.
Yeah.
As disturbed as that sounds.
No, because it gets your adrenaline going, but there's no real risk.
And it's also like cool to wake up and
Yeah.
be like, that was a whole like
plot.
horror movie plot that
Whole
I
plot.
lived through.
Yeah.
But I was house sitting somebody's house in the country. And I don't really know them like that. But I was watching their house and it was this big old mansion. And it was so old that it had like this church on the property.
That's
And,
horrifying.
and so this whole shit
just those
was
two
supposed to
things
be
combined.
just me, and I was there, and it was kind of creeping me out. And I met up with my friends, like on the second day. We went to like the gas station or something. And this one guy who I haven't seen or talked to or thought about since high school
Wow.
was there, but he was really nice because I didn't have my debit card or anything with me. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna spot you.
I got you, Louie.
I'm gonna spot you
Yeah.
this shit from the gas station because I'm that type of guy. So I had good vibes in the dream for a second, but after that we kind of all went our separate ways and I went back to the creepy house. And so I'm in the creepy mansion and the curiosity just keeps eating at me about this church that's right here because, you know, what the fuck, what possible justification is there to, and I don't think I was supposed to go in there either, but I did. I went in there, I flipped the light switch in there. There's one of those things where the light took a second to like
It
turn
flickered.
on,
Yeah.
and not only that, but it was some dim ass lights. It did not do a whole lot for the room. It just made it
Yeah.
look creepier.
Yeah. Yeah. Creepy lighting kicks in.
So I just have this crazy feeling like I'm being watched.
Fun.
Like I just feel like there's something in this fucking church. And I'm looking in different places. I keep tricking myself thinking I'm hearing noises, but I can't find anything. And I look behind, like they have these big tall windows, so it actually has some big long drapes right next to it. So I look behind the drapes, and there's this young person just crouched chilling behind the drape, and it scares the fuck out of
I'm
me.
sure.
And then he starts like coming at me, and he's speaking, but he's saying things that don't really make sense.
Like
you know
words
what I
in
mean?
no specific order, or like speaking in tongues.
Not in tongues. It was English, but it was a type of madness that was displayed where what he was saying wasn't really quite making sense, even though he's talking like what he's saying makes all the sense of the world. But these
So he was saying straight sentences that made zero sense.
that made
That's
zero sense
horrifying.
in my head.
No, that's horrifying.
And all these other fucking little people are coming out of the woodwork in this church, and they're all fucking coming at me, and that's when I woke up. And,
Oh my God.
And that was one of those
Like, it
shits
scared
where I
the
woke
shit
up
out of
and
you.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
remind me to never house sit.
Yeah, right. Damn.
I always get a creepy vibe from house sitting because it's always like,
Just being
There's-
in a house by yourself can be a little creepy.
yeah,
And the larger it is, the creepier it is.
that's true. That's a proven fact.
Yeah.
But like my parents' house doesn't scare me to be alone in it because I've been there
Yeah,
a
'cause you
billion
know
times
it.
alone
Yeah.
and there's never anything that happens to me. But whenever you're
Somebody
in
else's house.
a foreign environment, it's kind of like, okay, there are factually some unknown variables at play, and I
And
might
your brain takes advantage of that. Yeah.
I might
Because then you start
see
thinking.
it, but I might not. So yeah, that was disturbed.
That was disturbed. I was talking about horror movies the other day, and I was
It's about that time of the year.
we're getting
where
close
we're
to
gonna-
spooky season.
We'll have to come up with something to do for the Spooktacular this year.
Yeah, something.
I
weird.
have one idea that I might pitch to you, but
Cool.
it's hard because the first one was so good, and then last one
Classic.
was even better,
Last one was
going
great.
to jail, going to a haunted jail, an actual haunted jail cell, and we were actually scaring ourselves, and we actually heard something on the microphone
Yeah,
that I still don't have any explanation for.
yeah. Creepy audio files. Perfect ghost hunting material right there.
Yeah.
I do like that we did ghost hunting. But, no, I was talking about horror movies and, like, my favorite genre being probably, like, sci-fi horror. Because that's just, like, close to even, like, Cthulhu type stuff where it's just, like, incomprehensible watching The Thing,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just, like, the aliens could be anywhere, is a scary thought on its own. And then they transform and it's, like, some straight demonic-looking shit. And I feel like that's just such a, like, even, like, Alien.
That's a
There's such a
classic example of
specific
that.
kind of scary about sci-fi horror. 'Cause it's
And-
very different than, like, there's a man with an axe in the woods.
And it's
Or ghosts.
it's a fine line, and because a lot of times when it's like, okay, we're trying to make this funny looking alien thing
Yeah.
scary, it's like I don't give a fuck about that.
But what if
just
they actually made it scary? Then it's fucking scary.
in Alien, just the design of the
Oh, yeah.
xenomorph is scary. The fact that it's like one of these things where it's just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Where they're shooting at it, it's not fucking doing anything.
Yeah.
People just keep getting picked off. And the sound design is
Oh
really
my
good
God,
at
it's
that
great.
too. Because
I love the practical effects in that, and I think that I like practical effects like that because it can be gory, but it's not ridiculous. You know, like it's blood. The blood is thick and dark, and like adds to this horror factor of it.
looks like fucking blood
Yeah.
is actually supposed to
Versus
look like.
other things where it's just spraying all over the place, or it's like CG'd and doesn't look real, and like is clearly, you know, it's about the gore.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be like I was watching. This is not horror, but it's got horror influence. I was watching Blade the other day, the old one.
I haven't seen it.
Really?
I have not seen
You should definitely watch that. I watched it sort of on a limb, and I was like, you know what, this is fantastic. Peak cinema. Second one, it's been mid so far, but because there's the trilogy, but the first one hit. But there were some scenes in it where I was just like, this is just too bloody. This is just too ridiculously bloody, you know. And they were trying to be like, it's one scene where it's like the vampires own clubs basically to collect people to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a rave, and they're spraying blood like all over the place, like from the sprinklers. It's like fake blood,
Right.
but in the scenery it could be like real blood, and it's just ridiculous. And then there's like a fight scene in it, which looks cool, but also like there's vampires eating people in the same setting, and it's just like there's so much blood everywhere that it's kind of ridiculous, and not even like the idea of blood coming out of sprinklers, scary, kind of scary. You know, if it looked right, it could be kind of freaky.
Mm-hmm.
But there was just too much red everywhere, everything shining. It's ridiculous. But I think practical blood can be very like atmospheric and horrifying.
I think the vampires genre is done a disservice over time.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like one of the only movies you could point to and be like, that's an actual good depiction of a vampire, and it's done in a creepy new way, like the original Dracula. That's really one of the only ones you can point to, because what are you pointing at in modern times? Like fucking Twilight? Fuck out of here.
Yeah, Twilight did the biggest disservice to the vampire like mythos.
But there are so many things like that where it's kind of like romanticized version of vampires.
Fucking
like Vampire
iRobot.
Night.
Or not iRobot. iZombie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but that's zombies.
Yeah. Which is worse. To romanticize zombies is so much worse.
But to be fair, that's not doing a disservice to vampires, because it's not vampires.
Yeah.
And zombies has a ton of...
I'm just saying, you shouldn't... The fetishization of monsters is weird. Like, that shouldn't exist. I hate that exists in our society. That's one of those things where it's just like, keep that on Reddit. You know?
So you talked about
keep
sci-fi...
your fan fiction online.
You talked about sci-fi horror. I think that's a perfect segue into the show that I've been rewatching, which has been Doctor Who, because there's a ton of episodes in that. Overall, it's kind of a goofy show.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek at points. You know, sometimes it's like the most CG alien you've ever seen, and it's like, that's not scary. But there's a few standout episodes where it is truly disturbing. Like, there's one where they're, like, on a base on Mars, so there's only, like, 10 people there.
Yeah.
And just weird shit starts happening. People start going missing, type of thing. And there's another one, you've probably heard of this or seen something about it, but there's something called the Weeping Angel. So it's this alien, but it takes the form of, like, these concrete statues of angels. So every time you look away, they move a little bit closer to you, but if you're looking at them, they can't move.
Yeah.
So they just get closer and closer, and you have to, like, maintain eye contact with them, and even if you blink, they can fucking kill you like that, because they move super fast. But anyways, that's a tangent.
No, that's horrifying.
The point of that is Doctor Who is fire, and they did a lot for sci-fi.
See, I like that sci-fi
TV
can like dance around like that, because it can be comedic, it can be, you know, zany and weird, and then it can also be like kind of creepy.
Yeah. Like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, bro. That shit is
trippy,
funny.
Yeah.
But it also has a good mix of, like, okay, these are actually cool, out there, thought up ideas that are good in sci-fi.
Yeah.
But it's also in kind of a comedic world in a comedically written way.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I wanna start a discussion based off of what you were saying earlier about how you were so surprised that I haven't watched Blade. We can both go a couple times.
Okay.
But what's those movies for you? What's those movies where it's like everyone in the world's watched them, they're culturally significant, and when someone talks to you about it, you're kind of like, well, that's one I've never had a chance to see or don't want to see.
I don't know. I consume a lot of movies. Honestly, I like movies more than TV shows sometimes, so I'll kind of go back and forth where I'm watching movies all the time, or I'm binge watching a show. I don't know. There have been some that I've watched recently that I hadn't seen in a while, and like kind of forgot. I also think that it's interesting because like Nikki's been watching a lot of stuff where it's just like made me think about how there's a whole, you know, genre that men are not exposed to.
There's shit you haven't even touched.
Right. And there's stuff that's like targeted and you know you're not the target audience, you know?
Right.
So Nikki's been rewatching like all the Barbie stuff, and she was like, "You don't even know," or like Anastasia and shit like that, like some princess stuff that I'm sure only girls watched,
Right.
Of a certain time period. And she's talking about it like, "You haven't seen that before?" Like, yes, I grew up with sisters, but no, I didn't see any of that before. And she was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good, blah, blah, blah." And I was looking at the animation, I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is disturbing.
I'm so interested in stuff like that. Not specifically that, but just
How there's
shit
stuff
that I don't even think about.
Yeah.
That are like classics
For other people.
For people that are not me.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's not to say that I wouldn't enjoy this shit, because I feel like if something's a classic, like a true classic, I would be able to get something out of it. But I don't know.
The other day I was talking about how, like, I like foreign films, but that is a genre that some people will not touch. And how, like, I was watching something and somebody was speaking, like, a foreign language, or, like, should have been speaking a foreign language, in my mind. Like, it would have made sense. Movies will do that sometimes, where somebody will speak a foreign language and they'll just do closed captions. And other times they'll, like, switch it, so they'll speak a foreign language and then it'll switch to English at some point. Or they just won't pay attention to any of the context and say, guess what, they speak English. And they'll just have them speaking English from the get.
Yeah.
I would rather it make sense and be contextual. I can read fucking subtitles. But I think there's enough people out there that would refuse to read subtitles that's why there's, like, English and shit where there shouldn't be. And how I'm not scared of foreign films, but there are people who would never watch something that they have to read subtitles for the entire time.
This is so tangentially related, but that just makes me think of in Avatar 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they're like...
Where they go from speaking... They were like,
Jake Jake spoke
oh my God.
Na'vi for so long that it just started to sound like English.
Well, and so that's kind of what I mean, though, where they just will, like, switch
They're like,
it.
fucking the audience is
We
lazy.
know you
We're
don't
gonna
want
be
to...
lazy too.
Yeah, we know you don't want to read fucking closed captions this entire time.
You're unlocking me right now, but... You know what a huge pet peeve is for me? And this is a newer pet peeve because I don't do subtitles a whole lot.
Yeah.
Caroline's kind of gotten me into it a little bit more.
I grew up with it.
Because either you have to crank the volume to be able to actually hear everything.
Yeah.
And even then sometimes,
you miss
like
it.
when it's like a foreign accent, you're like, what the fuck did he say?
Yeah.
That's the old person dynamic we have sometimes when the subtitles are off, where it's like, what did he say? I don't know.
The subtitles.
Should we rewind? No. It probably wasn't important. The big pet peeve I've recently discovered when they're speaking foreign language in a movie or a TV show or something, and then the subtitle is speaking in a foreign language.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hate that so
you,
much.
dude.
I hate it
You are so
fucking
lazy.
much. It is the worst.
Even if it's not something that we're supposed to know what they're saying,
I want to know.
at least
I
tell
wanna
me
fucking
what
know.
foreign language it is.
Yeah,
fucking
true. Speaks Russian.
Speaks in foreign language.
Yeah, speaks in
Kill
Mandarin.
yourself.
Fucking
That
hell.
is so ugly.
It is. No, I love when there's like descriptory words on closed captions where it's like aggravated sigh. just the dumbest shit. You could have just said sigh.
So,
Who decided they needed to add an adverb to the fucking sound effect?
sometimes that cracks me up.
It's
because
hilarious.
It's like,
Menacing laugh.
I guess that's for like deaf
Menacing
people.
laugh is so good.
I guess that's for like deaf people
Yes.
that need to know the tone of the movie. But are they really getting so much out of these
I don't think
descriptors
so.
that they
I really
wouldn't
don't
get
think
from
so.
just watching the movie? Like, if you see someone's face looking forlorn, you don't need to put depressed sigh or
Forlorn
whatever.
sigh.
Right.
Oh my god.
So, I'm going to give a few movies since you completely evaded the question.
I did.
The
I'm good at that.
Godfather is one of those movies that's an easy answer. That
Yeah.
the people who have
You
watched
know,
it are
I'm gonna
like,
be honest. I've
you need
probably
to fucking
seen
watch it.
a portion of. That's one of those movies where, and there's more movies for me where it's like I've seen a portion of it on TV and then never watched the entire thing, and that's probably one of those. It's probably the same for most of the other Godfather movies, where I've probably seen a clip of it somewhere at some point. and just never watched the rest.
I know my grandpa's rolling in his grave because he fucking loved
Worship the Godfather.
Another one of those recently amended. Me and Caroline just watched Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises for the first time.
Yeah?
I had never seen either of those two movies. The only one I'd seen was The Dark Knight multiple times.
Yeah.
Which is the classic of the trilogy.
Yeah.
And I really could have gone the rest of my life without seeing the other two.
Yeah.
But they were good. They were entertaining. And
Entertaining is a good way to put it.
now I'll have kind of the context for when people are doing the Bane references and stuff to me. I was born in the darkness. Daigle likes to do that. He likes to do the Bane voice.
Yeah.
Just for no reason.
Just for no reason. Just an impression here and there.
Casablanca, haven't seen that. I feel like that's not that weird.
I don't even know what that is.
That's not that weird because we're fucking 22 years old. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, that's surprising that we haven't seen a movie from 100 years ago.
Right.
Have you seen Chandler's List?
I'd watch that for...
That's a good one.
Like school or something like that, I think.
Did you see Good Will Hunting?
Yeah. You've seen that before,
Have you seen 2001?
Space Odyssey? Yeah. I'm just like that, though. You search up popular classic movies?
No, I actually looked up classic
I don't know if I've ever watched...
with the Z.
I don't know if I've ever watched all of Silence of the Lambs.
It's good. It's definitely a classic.
I know it's creepy.
Have you watched Seven? I don't know why that's a classic.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, you have to see Seven. It's a Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman movie where it's like they're investigating these serial killer murders, and it's like basically like the Zodiac killer. So they're decoding shit and shit. It's like a thriller type of movie. I won't spoil it.
More than that?
Yeah. I've seen part of Lost Boys.
I don't even know what that is either.
That's a vampire movie.
Really?
Yep. I've seen part of Liar Liar.
Really? I love Liar Liar. I'm a big...
I enjoy what I saw, but it's one of those things where I saw it...
I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan.
It's one of those things where I saw it on TV, and I didn't get a chance to watch it all the way through, and I just never watched it all the way through.
That might be one of my favorites, because he's just hilarious in it. And I love... That's another movie that I gotta praise having blooper reels during the credits, because they're hilarious. It shows how much of it he was just like ad-libbing, and it's iconic because he's just so good at that.
I feel like it would be so fun to be like a secondary character in one of those movies.
Yeah.
And you just get to see...
You just get to watch Jim Carrey spaz.
Some comedic geniuses just ad-lib the funniest shit ever.
Oh shit. What's one movie with Snoop in it? Okay, yeah, so Starsky and Hutch. There's a scene with Vince Vaughn and Snoop Dogg in it, and Vince Vaughn smacks Snoop, and apparently that was not in the script. So Snoop really had to stop himself from like beating the shit out of Vince Vaughn, because he was like, the actor in me was like, that was a good move for the scene, but like the real me wanted to fucking kick his ass.
I just heard a story kind of like that, where in Rocky 3,
yeah,
I heard this because someone was talking about how bad all the fight scenes are in Rocky, which
some of them are...
is a take you can agree or disagree with.
That's one of those series where I would say the first one's probably the best one, and then if you're just kind of there for it, like if I feel like any movie is like that, where if on its own it's not very good compared to the first one or the third one, like sometimes the third one's better than the second one, which is weird.
Yeah.
If you watch them all together, it's still pretty decent. Like it's better to watch all of them back to back than when you've seen it on its own and you're like, that was kind of mid compared to the first one.
But the best fighting scene in all those movies was in Rocky 3, where your boy wasn't really getting along with the actor who played Drago.
Yeah.
He was this mean Russian guy, like in real life. Got into an actual fight on the screen.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the moments in that show where it's like,
it's great because
that's an exception to the
believable,
and it's believable because it's actually happening.
Yeah,
it's like how some movies the romantic relationship is so good because they actually got together in real life.
Yeah,
you'll see that a lot too.
Yeah, okay. I gotta check to see if this is the right one that I want to play by this artist.
So that's Joey Badass rapping, right? Or is it Cooking Soul rapping?
Anderson .Paak.
No, it's not.
That's what it said on... I kind of get what you're saying, though. It doesn't sound like Anderson .Paak. So we listened to Money Andy by Cookin' Soul. I think that's Anderson .Paak on there. Louis does not agree. I like that the only description for Cookin' Soul on Spotify is Grammy Award-winning producer and DJ. Which, you know, keep it simple, I guess.
I'm probably just going to leave in the part where
we
I don't believe you that it's Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
That would be a better way to explain it. I still don't know if I believe that it's Anderson .Paak. To me,
I mean,
inflection-wise, it sounds like it's Joey Badass. That's what it sounded like to me. But if that is Anderson .Paak rapping, that is very impressive. I've heard why I find it so hard to believe. I've heard Anderson .Paak rap before.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like that. It sounded like
Anderson
.Paak. He's got a very distinct voice.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, he's one of those artists where he's like a 21 Savage where you hear him get on a song and you're like, who is that? Who is that?
Yeah.
No one questions when Anderson .Paak's on a song because you know it like that.
Yeah, true.
I guess every other song except for that one.
I love Anderson .Paak, and I'm glad that I just now learned who the fuck that is on there, because I was just fucking with that song. I heard the Yes Lord in there, and I was like, I wonder if that's just a reference to Anderson .Paak.
So
and I love the bar in there where they're saying, Mama said dream big like my forehead. That's just hilarious. Every time I hear that, no matter how many times I hear this song, it has me dying. Like I'm listening to it for the first time.
that's a clear Anderson .Paak reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that. I'm gonna have to listen to more. What's the producer Cookin' Soul?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard some Cookin' Soul before.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, because like I said, I kind of didn't even realize, you know, that they were a producer, but I'm sure that they have produced shit that I've listened to before.
Mm-hmm.
And then this sort of just came up in the mix of, like, what I've been listening to.
The beat really is what carries the song.
Yeah.
Because Anderson .Paak, hypothetically, he's good on there.
Yeah.
He has some good flows. He's got a couple bars that are pretty good. But let's be honest, the vibe that is painted and created by the production,
Oh, yeah.
is what makes that re-listenable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's so hype. You know?
It's
light, it's fun,
it's lush, it's upbeat.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
The bars are good, but yeah, you're right. They aren't what's carrying the whole song.
And obviously that doesn't
Fashion Week
matter
in
a lot
Paris
of time.
never left the hotel. Like, it's just some of those that are like, they're in there, but then the beat's like elevated.
Yeah.
I think the re-listenability comes from the beat. But I think what first got me was just some shit like that.
Anderson .Paak's one of those artists that I fuck with,
Yeah.
but I'm not as in love with him as a lot of people are. One of the reasons be he just has a lot of music.
Yeah, he does have a lot of music.
A ton of albums. He has a ton of, you know, side projects, No Worries.
Yeah.
And like the album with Bruno Mars that I could
Just
never
came
really
out.
get into.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that he's gotten so popular.
I mean,
I think...
he's coming up on 10 years of,
mhm.
you know, making music.
Right.
Probably longer, but, you know, first album, 2014. So.
You know what people forget about? That legendary 2016 freshman class, double XL freshman class, that people talk about all the time because it had Uzi in it, had 21 Savage in it, had Lil Yachty in it, had Denzel Curry in it, had, you know, all of these artists that have done so good, were such a moment in their time, but the longevity too is why people talk about it all the time. Anderson .Paak was a part of that class. People forget about that.
Yeah.
But he's been in the mix doing his thing for a while. And I'm happy for him that he's finally getting like the super recognition that he deserves. Where it's just like next level.
See, I think that Bruno Mars album
That helped.
is huge.
Uh-huh.
Like their co-op projects are gonna be huge for him.
Mhm.
I was talking about other artists that it feels like there should be a combo like that, because they work so well together. Their voices work really well together.
Right.
That's why they're good together and popular together. And I was saying, like, I want Anderson .Paak to do shit with, like, a bunch of other people. Mix and match. Do you know who Omar Apollo is? I was saying, like, and do you know who Steve Lacy is?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Lacy, Omar Apollo.
That'd be crazy.
Should collab. Wouldn't that be crazy? Doesn't that feel like it should happen, though, too?
That's an interesting mix of appeal, but that's kind of why I want to hear what that would sound like.
Yeah. Omar Apollo's starting to get big, so I feel like they're on their way to having some crazy collaborations in the future, though.
Anderson .Paak's a great feature artist, and that's kind of why.
Oh, yeah.
Because he works with a lot of rappers. He's more likely to work with a rapper than another R&B artist.
Yeah.
Which is why the Bruno Mars thing was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like who would have fucking thought? Because
that's like not his usual.
Yeah, right.
MO. Yeah.
But like he's got a couple features on Schoolboy Q's Blank Face album, which are just incredible. I play that shit all the time. Anyway, shout out to Cookin' Salt.
Yeah, big shout out. I need to...
Jumping off of that, not really, completely unrelated to that. This is all I was kind of thinking about in the first half of the show. Just when you said just the rare occasion of the sequels being better than the original. It's usually the original is the best one.
Yeah.
And then after that it's kind of worse. Terminator is a great example of when that's not true.
I think time travel stuff is probably the best genre for that to be the case, though. You know? Because there can be... It's not just a sequel. It can be a prequel.
Right.
And shit like that.
Terminator 1 was really good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But Terminator 2 and 3 were definitely better.
Yeah.
Easily better.
Yeah. Well, and that's another prime example of, like, if you watch them all together, though, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. But if you watch them...
I think it does, because that's how I watched them.
Well, because then it's, like, one storyline versus, like, you watch Terminator, and then it's been a while, and you watch Terminator 2, and you're like, this is so much better. Like...
To your point, though, I think that...
I feel like there's just less chance of it feeling that way when you're watching it all as one story.
Like, to your point, when you do a time travel movie, and using Terminator as an example, the first movie has to kind of lay out the groundwork, explain how time travel works in this fictional world, and it has to be kind of a simpler, linear storyline, as
and
opposed
time travel's
to
just there,
as opposed to in T2 and T3, where it's actually like some end of the world crazy shit. Sarah Connor's now this badass who kills a bunch of people.
No, I think that's part of why those are better than the original, is that it's kind of more dystopian and more like Mad Max like more apocalyptic and fighting the apocalypse and shit like that, versus the first one is a little more slow paced.
Right.
You know, because it's kind of just like, this event is coming. It's not like happened yet.
It's like, it's smaller stakes too, because it's like, I'm Sarah Connor, I don't want to get killed.
Yeah. As
opposed to the future where it's like, the whole fate of humanity is resting on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, going off of that, you have any sequels that are better than the originals? I think The Dark Knight, based on what we were saying earlier, that's one that follows that formula.
Yeah.
Where it's so much better than Batman Begins. It's better in every fucking way than the original.
I also think, like... Oh, man. Fuck. I hate when I'm about to say something and it just, like, left.
Me too.
I've heard people talk about Shrek like that. Where some people really, really fuck with, like, Shrek Forever After and shit, or, like, Far, Far Away.
I really like Forever After.
And shit like that. And they're kind of like, yeah, first one's okay. And it just, like, I get production value wise very different and all that, and like it appeases to different audiences too. Like the kind of comedy that's in it is very different. But I've repeatedly heard people be like, yeah, yeah, like there's just quotable moments from shit like that, and it's just like the first one is actually more serious about itself, you know, like it's more so trying to tell a love story and there's comedy, versus the other ones are more just about comedy.
I think it's
talking about time travel. Wait a minute.
It's strange to me that you brought up Shrek, and I was like, oh, he's obviously going to bring up Shrek 2, how everyone thinks that's better than the original. He went forever after.
Fair.
I think there's an argument to be made, because I love Forever After. I think it's super underrated and overhated for no reason.
I think it's funny because they kind of, like I said, time travel. Like, they sort of play around with the genre, and it's more complicated because they went from just like there being storybook characters in the first one to there being like straight up magic and like complex magic.
Can we all agree that 3 is dog shit?
3 is dog shit.
It's actually dog shit, and that's why there was a need for Forever After as not only a cohesive ending to the story, which I don't like that they're opening that shit back up. Same thing with Futurama.
They need to leave it alone.
You ended it on a fucking perfect note, and then you're like, oh, well, never mind.
Leave it alone. Let it die.
Why end anything? Why do we even do seasons? Why doesn't everything just continue in perpetuity if you want it to be like? Why does there ever have to be?
Yeah, why make an ending and then
what's the point?
Pump fake us and be like, actually, it's been a couple of years. What if we brought it back?
Yeah. So
let it die.
In conclusion, I'm out on Shrek 5.
Yeah.
I will say though, I finally saw that newer Puss in Boots movie.
I've heard that it's great. I haven't watched it.
If we've talked about it on the show, but the hype is deserved.
Wow. For you to say that is high marks. That means I'm watching that later.
It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's funny. It's got a cool story.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the first Puss in Boots movie.
I did too, that came back? But I don't even remember it.
That
I
came
might
out
have to rewatch that
a while back, but like I thought it was good. Like it added lore, you know?
Yeah.
Backstory.
I like a lot of bullshit back then that I probably would look at now and be like, why?
Nah.
Why?
No, it's funny too because I saw, you know how just like everything is in the YouTube Reels or Instagram Reels?
Mm-hmm.
There was one video talking about how like in the alternate timeline for Forever After, like Puss is fat and taken care of by Fiona.
Yeah.
And very happy to be like a pampered house cat.
Mm-hmm.
And then how in this new one he's like depressed and old.
The new movie?
In the new movie.
Yes.
He's just depressed and old, and how they were kind of like he wanted to be complacent versus having to be complacent. And I was like, that's an interesting like plot point to point out, is like
the real antagonist in that movie is like his own mortality.
Yeah.
So it's the thing where like he's on his last life.
Yeah. And
all he needs is one mess up, one mistake, and he's fucking
kaput. Dead, yeah.
So just based off of that, that sounds like a fucking deep.
Yeah, no, and see,
movie.
I feel like I appreciate that. I feel like it's cool because it's a kids movie, so they can be lighthearted about it, but it's like actually a good plot point.
Yeah,
you know, like a strong plot point.
I don't know if we talked about this.
Like your character goes from not having any fear of death because they have 9 lives to having it constantly on their mind.
We might have had this conversation the last time Puss in Boots movie was brought up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'd see it at the time, so I don't remember. But this conversation definitely was brought up. But just having any sort of moral in a children's movie makes it a positive experience. And so many of the ideas and shit are just so watered down.
Dude, I was
like,
hyping up the Barbie movie to my grandfather the other day. He was asking about it, like, if anybody had seen it, and he was like, I heard it was pretty good. And I was like, honestly, yeah.
Nice.
You know? Like, fucking hell, all kids' movies should have more than surface-level plot.
You remember when we went out with Carl and Luke, and
Yeah.
Carl brought up the Barbie movie, and all three of us were like, fuck yeah, that movie's awesome. We'd all been drinking, we were all like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, Barbie.
It's three drunk men hyping up Barbie.
And Carl was like, what the fuck? He was like, I did not expect you all to be hyping the shit.
Yeah, that was the exact he was like, I wasn't expecting all three of you. He was like, statistically, that just feels wrong. I mean, he's probably right, though. I feel like statistically, there was kind of a low shot of us all being like, fuck yeah, Barbie.
This is late in the show to be bringing up such a hot button thing, but can we talk about how fragile masculinity is in the world?
Yeah, because people are
in the United
threatened
States?
by the Barbie movie.
Which
is sad.
Not only are they threatened by it, but whenever that Sloppenheimer discussion comes up...
Sloppenheimer?
Barbenheimer, my mistake. Not Sloppenheimer, that's something else. Whenever that comes up, sometimes you'll be around, you know, the man's man,
Yeah.
and they're like, why do you like Barbie more than Oppenheimer? I was like, well, have you seen Barbie? And they're
Yeah.
like, no. And I'm like, well, you should see it because
Yeah.
it's very good. And they're like, actually, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Well, then, let's just not have this conversation. Because you clearly don't know what you're talking about, and you just admitted it. No, it's funny because Oppenheimer is just a worse movie overall, and I love all the memes that I've seen about it that are just like about Oppenheimer being horny and wanting to be like the smartest person around. And it's literally the Jurassic Park like, but did you stop to think if you should?
Right.
And then there's Robert Downey Jr. just being like, I'm Strauss. Which is literally the whole movie. That's literally the whole movie is Oppenheimer's horny. He's being interrogated. He wants to make the bomb because he wants to know if he can make the bomb. And there's Strauss.
Something about Oppenheimer that kind of hurts the replay value for me.
I'm never watching that movie again.
Part of it's the length, obviously. That makes it hard to rewatch something like that. But I really don't feel like they said anything that substantial as far as you know.
About
anything deeper
about anything. It was
bomb
basically
bad.
It was just a biopic.
Yeah.
It wasn't even they tried to be like, yeah, the government screwed over Oppenheimer. That was the point that they tried to make at the end. And I feel like there was plenty of a conclusion with the Strauss storyline. They could have just left it at, like, this is what happened. They didn't have to show him in the future and shit like that.
And government bad is also a very shallow message.
Yeah,
because it's like, you know, some people might watch the movie and get their minds blown by that, but be impressed they're watching the movie and we're like,
well, I also saw,
government is bad.
And make a more substantial point, please. No, I saw somebody being upset online talking about how, like, the land that they ended up using for it it wasn't uninhabited. There were people there, and then they were like used for working with radioactive material, but not given suits because they were people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, honestly, if they had gotten more into like the repercussions of their actions during that time, you already had a 2-hour-long movie. You didn't need any of those fucking sex scenes in I Am Become Death. All right. Tell me some more historical shit that was fucked up. If you're trying to say government bad, get into it.
Yeah, I think just inherently that's a whitewash perspective. That even though they did mention it, I like that they did mention it, but for it to just be a footnote.
And for him to sort of just be like, give it back to the people that were there. It's like, well, I mean, sure, if they want the irradiated land, buddy.
I like that part, though, because Because Truman looked at him and he was like, "Bitch."
Yeah, he was like, "The fuck do I look like?"
Fucking crybaby.
Yeah.
Are there any movies coming out or no?
Oh man, I feel like for October there has to be. There's always shit coming out in October. Of course, my phone's lagging.
So apparently there's gonna be a new Exorcist movie, which I'm so out on.
Yeah.
Look at this though.
Oh my god.
In the upcoming movie section, there is some that says 2024, and it's just a picture of.
Wait, no, he's supposed to be making his last movie.
And we don't even know what it's gonna be.
I don't know. It could be The Movie Critic. That's what it just said there.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, there's the new Deadpool. That's kind of exciting.
That might be good.
And the rest of Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Another fucking Sonic. Oh my god, stop. I did just hear about the Aquaman 2 movie.
I saw
Another
something
Joker.
that oh yeah, that Joker movie's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but it's gonna be crazy.
I'm excited because I like that, like, sort of cinematic universe
Yeah.
right now.
Do you like the concept behind it? Have you heard the concept
I went to see
behind
the
it?
original Joker in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Well, it's
And
gonna
then
be.
I like the new Batman, sort of like darker setting.
I don't like that those aren't supposed to be in the same universe. When that would just be a perfect
It would work
marriage.
so well. You know, they do need to introduce their own Batman at some point if they're just going to be doing Joker movies, because the Joker's not the Joker without Batman.
That's true.
Otherwise, he's just a domestic terrorist. Which is sort of that's why...
Which is cool.
No, and that's what we were saying about, like, they go hand in hand. Like,
Uh-huh.
they have the same dark energy, and it's not like they're villains.
Yeah.
They're fucking domestic terrorists.
I didn't even mean, like, the characters. I meant those two movies.
Yeah, no.
The new Joker and the new
the
Batman.
feeling. They feel like they're the same universe.
It would be perfect. But you heard that the concept behind it's like it's gonna be a musical, and Lady Gaga's gonna be Harley Quinn in it.
I didn't hear that it's going to be a musical, Louis. Don't make me not excited. I'm not a musical man.
But
They make me cringe.
But what makes me so excited about that?
I mean, Lady Gaga is great.
It's going to be ambitious as fuck.
It is going to be ambitious.
Because it's like, how do you make that first movie into that type of thing? It clearly has to be rooted somewhat in Joker's delusions.
Yeah.
His straight up delusions.
Yeah. Facts.
Which that's going to make it interesting and entertaining and stuff. Did you see that last Tarantino movie?
What would be the last one?
The Hollywood one?
What do you mean?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie. That's his last one?
I think so. Maybe not.
There's no way that's his last movie to come out. I feel like there has to be something that's come out since then. I've been thinking about rewatching Hateful Eight.
I've never seen it.
You should. I love Western, like, shit. And that was perfect timing on that, because, like, Red Dead and shit like that. It's kind of got a similar vibe. Yeah, so The Movie Critic's supposed to be his final film.
I think that's cool to wrap it up. He's got so many great movies. He doesn't need to keep making them. I would prefer that over, this is Scorsese's 100th movie.
Dude, that was 2019. If that was his last movie, that's kind of wild.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that, it was Hateful Eight. When did Hateful Eight come out?
That came out in 2015, so yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was 2019 and his last... The 9th film from Quentin Tarantino.
Can we talk about...
Inglourious Bastards is iconic. I need to watch all of the Kill Bills. I think I've only seen the first one.
I haven't seen any of them. But the fact that Tarantino's still overrated. That's my...
A little.
Underrated. That's what I mean. I think he's still underrated, even though he's one of the most hyped and talked about guys, because Reservoir Dogs is amazing.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction is an undeniable classic.
Yeah.
Kill Bill's supposed to be a classic. I haven't seen it, though. Inglourious Basterds is
Kill Bill
fire.
set
Django is fire.
the stage for, like, all of the action movies of the early 2000s, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of crazy that he has, like, you know, sort of comedic meets action meets, you know, plot-driven storytelling.
He does that very well. But the actual watchability of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I walked out of that movie and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand any of the, like, history behind
Yeah.
it. And learning about that shit afterwards, how it's kind of the
Did
same
it make
thing.
it more rewatchable for you?
I haven't seen it, rewatched it. I'm going to rewatch it. But something that Tarantino does that I really like, he kind of twists history in a way that makes it cathartic and happier. Like what he does with Django, where it's, you know, a slave fighting for his freedom and beating the white man.
Yeah. And
it's kind of a victorious thing. And Inglourious Basterds is even a better example of that because they kill Hitler in it. And a spoiler for everyone who hasn't seen that, yikes. But obviously Hitler killed himself. He wasn't... I mean, he was like scalped too. They fucked him up.
Yeah, they did.
That was... It's the same type of thing where it's like... He's twisting history.
Dude, it makes it
to
more...
make it positive.
Well, and it makes it more, like, twisted and bizarre and, like for there to be a group of soldiers, like, scalping Nazis. Right. And for the leader of this group to be like, you know, bring me Nazi scalps.
Yeah.
Badass. Twisted and bizarre, and, you know, like, hopefully there's no real historical context for that. But...
There might be, but it's maybe not.
It's also one of those where, for the plot purpose, it's literally like, how bad can you feel for them? They're fucking Nazis.
Well, that's exactly what it is. That's how you make a good historical antagonist. You already hate the Nazis.
And he also writes villains so well. You know?
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
For sure.
And like, every character seems complex. Like, in Hateful Eight. Very complex. I love that movie. I might rewatch that later. I need to watch
it too.
You ever watch some more of their shit? Maybe I'll do a Kill Bill double feature.
There's definitely some movies in there that I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of the Kill Bills. I don't even know what that is. Don't know what that is.
We need to have a movie night
is.
and just watch like every Quentin Tarantino movie we haven't seen. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. That would take forever, though, because all of his movies are so fucking long.
That's a whole afternoon.
Right. It's a whole day. Shit.
Whole day. Quentin Tarantino Day. Because
I just named 4 movies. 5
Tarantino
movies.
Day.
You want to close this out?
Yeah, let's wrap up. Any closing remarks?
Movie's good.
Go watch movies. Not at the movie theater, because it's
Fuck you,
overpriced.
Carl.
Fuck you, Carl. You're getting on an episode soon, even if you're not hearing this.
Listen, Carl, this is your second
This is your redemption.
warning. If you're a good enough friend to have listened to this all the way through, which was the condition last time, we are going to have you on the next episode. If not, we're going to be like, hey, what's up, man?
You're not listening to the podcast.
What the fuck's going on, dude?
What's up?
No, we're not even going to explain to him. We're just going to be mad at him. He's going to be like, what did I do? What did I do?
Next time we see him is just at my birthday. And we're giving him shit
and
the entire time.
No,
I invited him and I'm literally just giving him shit the entire time.
What if we don't even talk to him? We just ignore him at your birthday party.
Oh my god. Carl, please listen to the podcast.
Guys.
I don't want to do that to you.
I stare him down.
I have to do the bit though. Alright. that's all the time we have for this week. I hope it was as enjoyable as it was incoherent. Listen to Cookin' Soul, and we'll be back every Thursday for Season 7 of the Highly Suspicious Podcast. Listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast, at Highly Suspicious Podcast on Instagram, link in bio.
Yeah.